Why does everybody call it free agency frenzy, Bloom?
Because there's so much happening. Like sharks feeding on styrofoam.
Well, let's eat.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to Football Guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
The frenzy of free agency is here, and we are here to talk about it on the Audible. And Bloom, before we jump into the players,
Yeah.
legal tampering open, it's free agency.
Right.
Why do we even mess around with legal tampering? Because we already know the team's moves that they're going to make as soon as legal tampering is open. Because totally illegal tampering never happens.
Yeah. I guess it's just keeping up appearances. It's the same reason that Calvin Ridley got suspended, I guess.
Yeah, it's the NFL though, right? Like, you couldn't do this a little bit differently, NFL. Anyway, that's just me complaining. No longer is Russell Wilson the worst quarterback in the AFC West because Jimmy Garoppolo signs with the Las Vegas Raiders, and we could all do the Josh McDaniels thing and connect the dots and all that. But Jimmy G's with the Raiders, and your thoughts are what?
My thoughts are, as other people have echoed, this is not an original thought. Are there any original thoughts left? I don't think so. I don't know. This is just Josh McDaniels keeping his job for another year or two, right? How are we going to compete with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Russell Wilson? But at least we won 6 or 7 games, and it's not good for Devontae Adams. Jimmy Garoppolo should throw more than he did in San Francisco, because it isn't going to be that robust Shanahan running game. But Garoppolo, Josh Norris pointed this out, is not good throwing downfield outside the numbers. That's where Devontae Adams made a lot of noise last year with Derek Carr.
Right.
So it's not good. And I will just tack on that this morning Jakobi Meyers was signed, and everyone laughed. Josh McDaniels. And Cecil, I think that we've heard more talk. We talked about this already. One of your someone that was in Denver, just like you, when Josh McDaniels was there, kind of telling some stories about him last year.
Okay.
Was it Tyler Columbus? And
Tyler hates Josh because that whole blast of like, do your job and quit making stuff up. Right. That's a Tyler. So and a lot of people hate Josh McDaniels.
I think we can just say he's putting together this Raider stuff. Josh McDaniels is not going to be like Bill Belichick. He's not going to ace it in his second job.
Right. Yeah. I think we can put that together for sure. Jimmy Garoppolo there. We'll see what the Raiders do in terms of getting anything done with Josh Jacobs. But yeah, okay. Josh McDaniels, you got your guy kind of. They still could draft a quarterback, though.
Sure. And that's the other thing is we're looking at Seattle. We're looking at Indianapolis. We're looking at Atlanta. We're looking at the teams that may come up for a quarterback. Arizona is open for business there. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't take them out of the running for that. But, for Raiders fans, well, you have a team.
Yeah, you have a team, and you live in Vegas, so congratulations on that. Bloom, I do want to mention next, and not that this is all about me, but people will remember on this show, when I had said, and I got pushback so much so I ended up on Pat McAfee's show, not me personally, but my tweet did, when I said, hey, y'all, the 49ers move up, they get Trey Lance, and I know I have information on that contradicts what other people have said and Mac Jones and blah, 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 blah. But do you remember who I said that they almost traded for? And because the Jets wanted to wait for Zach Wilson's pro day, they did not trade Sam Darnold to the 49ers for their first round pick. So now with Brock Purdy recovering from his elbow surgery and should be okay somewhere around the beginning of the regular season, Trey Lance being, kind of Trey Lance right now, did it surprise you that the 49ers went out and got Sam Darnold in free agency?
No. They needed 4. I believe they needed more than 4 quarterbacks, but they could have had someone better than Josh Johnson. I thought it was going to work out. I was hoping. I had a dream whenever that game happened, and Josh Johnson leads his team to the Super Bowl. No, they see from last year. You can never have enough quarterbacks. And this is a mutually agreeable deal, right? I think as a quarterback, you want to go to Kyle Shanahan's team to rehabilitate the view of you around the league, right? I
For
mean,
sure.
it elevates the quarterback's performance and numbers. And I think for the 49ers, again, Trey Lance is a bit of an unknown. Brock Purdy is an unknown. And you know what you have to work with Sam Darnold. Maybe it's more like the confidence side, the psychological side that needs to be fixed. Look, he's not a trash quarterback, right? I mean, there's a lot to work with there with Sam Darnold. Maybe if you put him in a more rigid system, a system where things are almost decided in advance for him, we might see some of that talent come to the surface.
Yeah, I might see it come to the surface. And could he, in fact, be like a Geno Smith in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the new game, right? Is who's going to be the next quarterback to be rehabilitated, the next quarterback that the league has overlooked. And I think that's always an angle as we have a quarterback shortage, as we have a ridiculous price to pay mid-range quarterbacks in free agency, as we have a ridiculous price to move up for a quarterback. I think that's the smart angle for teams, is to look for that quarterback who might be overlooked. And certainly nobody was flourishing in Carolina, so we can't hold that against Darnold. We'll see if San Francisco can be a success story for both he and the team, because, if they had Sam Darnold instead of Josh Johnson, maybe could have hung a little bit more.
Yeah, Sam Darnold there, Kyle Shanahan getting his guy, and well, one of his guys anyway. And I feel so bad for Kyle because I'm like, just either Trey Lance work out or Brock Purdy stay healthy or Sam Darnold turns into Geno Smith. Like something, please help Kyle. He's done so much for this game, Bloom. He's done so much. I felt bad yesterday because I love Skylar Thompson. And then the Dolphins get Mike White. You're like, oh, okay. Well, that kind of derails that for some time.
Yeah, I didn't love this one. And they also picked up Tua's 5th-year option. So at least there's a little less worry. I didn't love this one, though. Is Mike White going to change the destiny of this team? If Tua gets a concussion and sidelines him for 2-3 weeks or more, is Mike White going to save the team? I don't know. I guess the fit is okay. We know that Mike White isn't shy about throwing the ball around, throwing the ball downfield, which I guess is good. But I would have liked to see them develop Skylar Thompson more. I mean, again, Mike McDaniel, we were just talking about Kyle Shanahan. This is a quarterback-friendly system. And I just thought that, okay, well, you got Mike White. Does it say that they're not confident in Tua because they went out and spent a little bit of money on a quarterback? Does it say they're not confident in Thompson? Does it say they are confident in Tua because they didn't go out and get a better backup? I don't know. I think Miami is a team, Cecil, we can talk about making some pretty big moves, pushing some chips into the middle, trying to elevate what they've got going on, but it still has to do mostly with whether Tua Tagovailoa can stay healthy. And after Mike White was signed, that hasn't changed.
Yeah, it looks like the Atlanta Falcons got a starter in Taylor Heineke. And yes, I'm not necessarily anti-Desmond Ridder, but I'm just like, let's be honest about him, okay? Can we please do that? I don't like when Desmond Ridder people are just like, he's the greatest and what a steal. And I'm like, well, he's got the tools, but damn it, that's so easy to see. It's so easy to look at Desmond Ridder and be like, oh, he's got an arm. Oh, he can run. Oh, he's a leader. Like, yeah, what about under pressure? This game is all about pressure. Taylor Heineke thrives on pressure. So yeah, I could see Heineke just going into camp and beating Ridder out. So there you go.
Yeah, it's hard to be excited for Kyle Pitts or Drake London after this move. This is probably not going to be that robust of a passing game. I guess I shouldn't say that. Taylor Heineke for Drake London is probably an upgrade, just because Taylor Heineke will make those aspirational throws and will make those throws. See, we talk about the no, yes. Heineke makes the no throws.
No, I said no.
No. But it'll give Drake London more opportunity than he had last year. You expect an open competition. I guess if we're reading the tea leaves, Cease, this is one that signals maybe Atlanta doesn't have plans to move up with a quarterback, to get a quarterback. Obviously, we know, if we trust it, they don't have plans to go out and get Lamar Jackson. So I think that Atlanta, I mean, we talked about Josh McDaniels and Ziegler extending out their horizon for getting fired by bringing in Garoppolo. In some ways, this does this for Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot because it's patience. Because, hey, if you have Ritter and Heineke, even in the NFC South, you're not coming in first.
Yeah, not coming in first. Bloom, let's tie a bow on the rest of the quarterbacks. Anyone that you want to touch on, Case Keenum or whoever signing?
I mean, Stiddy to Denver is interesting, if only because the Raiders, after what McDaniel saw of Stidham, to not keep him, Jimmy Garoppolo, even if they had plans to sign Jimmy Garoppolo and they knew they weren't going to need Stidham, and Stidham was cheap, and it's a good backup, potentially an upgrade for Denver. It's
an upgrade over Brett Rippon for sure. And with a 2-year deal, Bloom, here's the thing: if Russell isn't fixed, you can just roll with Stidham. You'll be fine. But then, and everyone put this in their notebook, it's March 14th. Okay. Sean Payton will do anything to get Caleb Williams. Anything. So if you have Jarrett Stidham and Russ isn't fixed, you sell everything to get to Caleb Williams. And then Jarrett Stidham's like your veteran backup experience guy. So Jarrett Stidham is two birds, one stone type of guy.
Yeah, I thought that was a smart move. Denver's made a lot of smart moves, but it's a Bronco show, Cease. And James Winston's back in New Orleans, and I guess that we can take him out of the running to be the starter for Atlanta.
Yeah, there you go. Running back wise, the biggest thing is the Austin Ekeler's on the trade block,
right?
Or asked for a trade or something. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think we can see the trend is clear. We had the conflicting reports about Derrick Henry. Mark Sessler from NFL.com put out there that the Browns, whispers that the Browns are looking at Nick Chubb trade maybe to help with their cap woes. Dalvin Cook, there were reports that multiple teams have been engaged in trade talks about Dalvin Cook. And now you have this Austin Ekeler situation where it sounds like Ekeler wanted an extension and the Chargers said, this is what we'll give you. And he said, then I want to trade. Once running backs are past 27, nobody wants to pay them. You look back at what Scott Fitterer did with that Christian McCaffrey deal. He timed it perfectly. Could Christian McCaffrey get traded today? For those draft picks? I don't think so. And you see how long are guys like David Montgomery going to sit out there in free agency? And of course, we have the draft running back. So it continues to be really rough for running backs out there. As far as, overall, any kind of running back news of note, Matt Breida's back with the Giants. So if you don't believe in Saquon Barkley to stay healthy,
the running back news was everybody just stayed. Oh yeah, Mike Reynolds too, whatever.
Right, Craig Reynolds is back with Detroit. We'll see what happens with Jamal Williams. The Jets didn't tender James Robinson, so he's out there now. Salvon Ahmed's back with Miami. Now Miami is a team that's been mentioned in connection with Dalvin Cook. So we'll see what happens there. This is a team a couple of different times we thought. The Broncos released Chase Edmonds. That was something interesting just because they potentially could have been in on. Edmonds could have been part of a running back picture with Javonte Williams not ready for week 1. Nyheim Hines stayed in Buffalo. Like you said, Cease, that's the news. Nyheim Hines stayed in Buffalo. We'll see what they do. They're going to be connected to a lot of running back names. And Gus Edwards stayed in Baltimore.
All right, there we go. We've got wide receivers up next, and it looks like the greatest wide receiver in free agency this year, Jakobi Meyers.
Right.
Here we go. And the math on this stuff. Hey, it's Josh McDaniels in New England and Jakobi Meyers, right. And now he's with the Raiders. And oh boy, here we go. So let's discuss. And again, with the Jimmy G thing, it's not like this passing game is going to be overly robust. No. And you went out in free agency and got Jakobi. Oh, okay, Raiders gonna Raider again. If it's a Broncos show, hey. If you're the Broncos, you feel pretty good because, the Raiders are going to Raider.
Yeah, and I think that, again, this is just like the draft, Cease, right? Like the draft happens and we'll pan a draft class or eviscerate a pick, and people say, give it time. We can't talk about
you can't grade a draft until blah, 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 blah.
Right, and it's the same thing with free agent moves. And again, the Raiders, just not impressive. This is a franchise adrift. Thinking of the Grateful Dead song "Ship of Fools," it's just they're never going to come into port. The Raiders, they're just going to be drifting out at sea. And I think the Jakobi Meyers deal. Well, first of all, 3 years, $33 million is not much, not a lot in terms of wide receiver pay. That's
right.
That's barely even starter pay.
In this free agent market, you couldn't get more than that.
Yeah. You look at the Raiders now, and you see they've got Devontae Adams, they've got Darren Waller, they still have Hunter Renfrow. Remember, didn't they pay Hunter Renfrow? Was it 16 million, 20 million? Some ridiculous amount for Renfrow. Now there is some overlap between Meyers and Renfrow's skill set. Meyers can also play outside. We're waiting to see what happens with Foster Moreau, but I don't think they're going to go back to him because of the elevated price he's going to get now that he can be a starter for another team. So more 3 wide sets, I guess, with Garoppolo. But see, why does it even matter? Like, who's the backup, right? Because this is a situation where is Garoppolo even going to stay healthy? There's not a lot of evidence of that. So yeah, I feel bad. Raiders fans, some salt of the earth, wonderful people sticking with their team through all kinds of ups and downs and changes of venue. And I know there was some excitement when they acquired Devontae Adams last year during the offseason. This is no reason for excitement.
I just hope our pot stoner degenerate Jason, resident Raiders fan, has plenty of gummies and Mountain Dew, so he'll be okay through this free agency period. We'll be okay as we continue on with the talk about wide receivers in free agency. And again, Jakobi Meyers, the big one, and then, well, Robert Woods with the Texans, I guess.
Yeah.
The next one.
I mean, I'm surprised he got 2 years, $15 million. The Titans losing talent, the Texans adding talent. And I think that what we want to look at here with the Texans again is you've got, Tunsil and Howard, you've got good tackles, right? They traded for Shaq Mason. So this was one where Tampa Bay traded for Shaq Mason last year, salary dump from the Patriots. I think they traded a 5th for him, and then there was a swap of a 6th and 7th. But you put Shaq Mason in there. You got Green, who I think is a little banged up, but the first round pick from last year. I don't know if they have center settled, but you have the offensive line for this quarterback. Now you had Nico Collins, John Mechie, we'll see. And again, is it going to be Bryce Young? See, I saw one report. I know I'm sprawling here. I did see one report that Carolina doesn't know who they're going to take yet. They're going to let it play out. They just thought that the value of getting up to number 1 was worth that pick. So is it Bryce Young for the Texans? Is it CJ Stroud for the Texans? Is it Anthony Richardson? Either way, you're getting some pieces. Robert Woods a good run blocking wide receiver, some pieces to make this team respectable. Laughing at the Raiders, not laughing at the Texans.
Yeah, and I don't believe Carolina when they say that. We have no idea. You don't make that move with no idea. Please and thank you. What else is out there at wide receiver?
Lazard to the Jets. People are talking. It's not done yet.
I was going to say it's not done yet, but that's kind of whatever. And then Shepard stays with the Giants. Like, what?
Yeah, time is a flat circle. But yeah, I think that Greg Dortch signed his exclusive rights free agent contract with the Cardinals. If Rondale Moore can't stay healthy, but who's going to play quarterback week 1 for that team? Adam Thielen's out. It wasn't so much a free agency move, but you see the Vikings. There was talk last year with the new regime. Are they going to sweep the deck? Are they going to rebuild? Now, a lot of those players that we talked about, Adam Thielen, another one, out. We'll see the Saints and Michael Thomas. There's a big guaranteed money bomb that's going to hit like 3rd day of the league year, something like that. So they're trying to work out maybe some sort of contract extension, something there. Maybe that Derek Carr, that could be his guy. We know that he can lock in on one player. That's about it in the wide receiver neighborhood.
No, the chat room is fired up this morning. Olafub with Ekeler to the Bills. Ooh. Yeah, and I'm all tingly now. That would be awesome. Of course, the Bills had dinner with both Texas running backs. Bijan Robinson, best back in this draft, and then Roschon Johnson, one of my favorite sleepers in this draft. Remember, Priest Holmes backed up Ricky Williams, everybody. Like, it can happen. It's happening. It's happening. Well, hopefully Bills. I talked to Big E yesterday, my best friend who's a big Bills fan, and he's like, we need more than just a run game. I'm like, okay, all right. But you do need a run game. You do need a run game to take pressure off of Josh Allen. Are you surprised some first wave free agency moves haven't happened yet? I'm specifically talking about Dalton Schultz hasn't signed anywhere yet, right?
Right. Well, this is a great class of tight ends in the draft, and there are a lot of good tight ends in free agency. Mike Gesicki, we already mentioned Foster Moreau. So I just think that teams are being a little more patient. I think that we saw in so much, Cecil, we saw teams run out to make big moves. It was defensive line. I know you're going to be talking about Zach Allen, Draymond Jones, cornerback, and some pretty reasonable cornerback deals. Offensive line, and again, you're going to be talking about Mike McGlinchey. You're going to be talking about Ben. It's a Broncos show, so I think teams were focused more on the interior line, on defense, and the offensive line. I think teams were focused more on cornerback. Really frustrated the Steelers didn't keep Cam Sutton. Detroit, man, don't sleep on those Lions. Making moves, good moves. The Steelers got Patrick Peterson. Cease.
Oh boy, it's about the same age as Mike Tomlin, right?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So tight end, we're kind of waiting.
Yeah.
The trade, Jonnu Smith trade, right? Yes.
Yep. A salary dump, and as Matt Walton pointed out, if you're worried about this is, for Atlanta, if you're worried about this for Kyle Pitts, no, it's actually good for Kyle Pitts that there's going to be a dedicated blocking tight end. That's what Jonnu Smith is. So again, we can look back. Remember whenever Bill Belichick blew a bunch of money in the first year without Brady on Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith and Nelson Aguilar to open free agency, and we all said, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Yeah. Matt Judon, that was a good signing. That worked out. It's the team's MVP. But yeah, the Falcons made a lot of moves. And the Jonnu Smith trade, they're trying to be a respectable team, but not too respectable. Again, you don't want to raise those expectations too much so you can keep your job. Josh Oliver goes to the Vikings. Again, more of a blocking tight end. I don't think that the Jags originally drafted him in the 3rd round to be a blocking tight end. He goes to Baltimore. Well, that's where you can turn into a blocking tight end.
Yeah.
And, I don't think that's going to hurt. That's not going to hurt TJ Hawkinson. The Saints re-signed Juwan Johnson. So again, Derek Carr, Juwan Johnson. It's looking like a pretty solid combination for fantasy for Juwan Johnson to continue the momentum that he built at times, at least, especially in the red zone last year.
I know it's a Broncos show, but it might as well be a 49ers show as well, because I love Kyle and I love Steve Wilkes.
Yeah.
So when Javon Hargrave goes to the 49ers, I was just like, oh, damn it. Like, they are. And Kyle has said before, because everyone thinks Kyle Shanahan, offensive genius. Like, okay, yes. But Kyle's also said he would rather have a top 10 defense than a top 10 offense because he believes in his ability to create points. Remember, Kyle Shanahan designs plays to score on every play. I want to rewind that for everybody. Kyle Shanahan designs his plays to score for every play. Right. So he would rather take a top 10. Brother, they're going to have, oh my God, top 1, the greatest defense of all time. Like, oh my God. When you think about the 49ers defense and Steve Wilkes and Javon Hargrave, and you're like, oh my God. Okay. Sam Darnold can win a bunch of games.
Yeah, and Sam Darnold also reunited with Steve Wilkes, by the way. See, all I can think is one that got away, right? Javon Hargrave, Steelers drafted him, and he did a lot of good work for the Eagles. I forget who it was that pointed out that, the Eagles ran the ball on the 49ers pretty extensively, and Javon Hargrave is going to address that. But it used to be, Cease, if the Steelers let a player get to free agency, you knew that they knew. Hardy Nickerson, that was the one I remember that hurt. Hardy Nickerson. But this hurts, and it continues to hurt every time I see Javon Hargrave elevated defense that is not Pittsburgh.
Oh my God. You might as well give him a cape when he leaps at quarterbacks. You're just like, yep, he's done. That guy's done because he can fly. I loved him at the Shrine game. Loved him for years, Bloom. And well, now the 49ers fans are going to love him as well. So just touching on some other of the larger free agents. You mentioned some of the offensive line play. I think Ben Powers is a great pickup for the Broncos. I don't think McGlinchey is, honestly.
Yeah, the Bears were supposed to get McGlinchey, and the Broncos came in and snapped him up.
Yes. So, and the Bears, where's Dave Kluge at in the chat room? Like the Bears, they're doing some big things in Chicago. And, I even like a lesser move. I like DeMarcus Walker going with the Bears. You know what I mean? So, like, let's just go over some of the other big names. Of course, the Bears getting Tremaine
Right.
Edmonds, right? That's their
Yep.
big move. And TJ Edwards, another big move. And so, like, yeah, they're making those big moves and people are taking notice. So you'll say the Lions.
Yeah.
I'll say, where's my Walter Payton gear? Like, watch
Right.
out for the Bears, man.
Yeah, and the Bears, I think, starting out with the Bears, I'll just touch on a few things. There's TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. And Edmonds, I mean, on one hand, you can say, wow, now the off-ball linebacker, I'll then pivot to off-ball linebacker in general. A lot of action at off-ball linebacker. Not a lot of players getting signed, and of course, in position of need for the Steelers. All those guys, all those potential targets. But you wonder, okay, you're going to pay Edmonds 4 years, $72 million. I guess it's worth it to get the draft pick for Roquan Smith. Why not just keep Roquan Smith? I don't know. And then also, like you said, Cease to Marcus Walker. That's a nice signing. Nate Davis, also from Tennessee, a nice signing. So Tennessee losing some talent. On the linebacker front, we saw Bobby Okereke end up with the Giants on a 4-year, $40 million deal. And again, this is a position kind of like the running back of defense, where it's becoming a de-emphasized position as compared to, say, edge. You also saw Jermaine Pratt stay in Cincinnati. Quinn Williams' little brother, that's working out well for him after it didn't work out with the Jags, staying with the Jets. We haven't even mentioned really what's going on with the Jets. The Chargers.
Oh, I got it on the docket. We'll get to that.
Eric Kendricks going to the Chargers after, again, the Vikings. EJ Speed, a modest deal for IDP fantasy football. Just know he's probably going to replace Okereke. Alex Singleton staying in Denver. It's a Broncos show. Again, a lot of teams keeping that talent. David Long, another Tennessee player, a good player, going to the Dolphins. Modest deal, but I think, especially if you play IDP fantasy football, you know that. A couple other things I just want to make sure we mention. Kansas City, no tag for Orlando Brown. And they signed Jawan Taylor.
Back up the Brinks truck.
And isn't it interesting, Cecil, probably the one team other than Green Bay, I wonder why Green Bay hasn't made any moves yet. The one team other than Green Bay that I didn't have any items for on my sheet that's going to go out with the Thursday newsletter, all the free agency overview, was Jacksonville. Jacksonville already is a team that doesn't need to go out. I mean, they had a spending spree last year that worked out. They don't need to go out and do anything. If anything, other teams are looking at their players, right? Jawan Taylor getting a big deal. So things changing pretty quickly around here. But I did think it was interesting to see that Kansas City had that clarity and said, we're not going to pay Orlando Brown. We're not even going to tag him. We're not going to try to tag and trade or anything. We're going to get Jawan Taylor, who's probably going to play left tackle. Also, Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard goes to Tennessee on a 3-year, $29 million deal, which is, it's not, I mean, if he ends up hitting, that's a bargain, but the Titans, this is a team I feel like that also is a bit adrift. They just had a change at GM. The Falcons, as part of their big spending spree, they get Jesse Bates. They keep Chris Lindstrom, one of their first-round picks. It's always good when you want to keep your first-round picks. So that's a good thing, a first-round pick from the previous regime.
Von Bell landed in Carolina, right?
Yeah, and that's great for IDP fantasy football for Jeremy Chin. You're going to see Chin because Von Bell can play that deep safety role. The Bucks, a lot of like you said, Cease, a lot of these players getting kept. Jamel Dean, one of the top corners in free agency, is kept. Deron Payne, as expected after he's tagged, signs a long-term deal. Jason Kelsey's back. That's fun, right? Probably one of the biggest head scratchers for me, Cease, of course, being down here in New Orleans. Marcus Davenport, who the Saints threw 2 first-round picks to move up and get him. Then they paid him on his 5th-year option, even though he hadn't really done much. He goes to Minnesota on a 1-year, $13 million deal. But I thought, based on Minnesota's moves, they're rebuilding. Why are you paying not a prove-it deal? $13 million deals aren't prove-it deals. Now, granted, agent numbers. We're dealing with all these agent numbers now.
Right.
Go to over the cap. You'll get the real numbers eventually. So that one was a bit of a head scratcher. I thought Minnesota had clarity, but we're continuing to sift through all this stuff. Probably while we've been recording, there are new moves to report on. Not the most consequential free agency period, though, especially for fantasy football.
Yeah. As of this recording, Aaron Rodgers said, soon I will tell you if I'm going to play football. So Okay, Aaron Rodgers, just go to New York like Brett Favre did. Don't send any things you shouldn't send via text. Like, okay. I'm so done with the Rodgers thing. I'm just done. Like,
Yeah.
dude, come on.
See, so I think it's kind of like, I think there was a Halloween Simpsons where Lisa
Treehouse of Horror.
It was a Treehouse of Horror episode. I don't know which Roman numeral it was, but Lisa, it was kind of like a riff on Ghostbusters, I think, with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I think she realized you just don't look at them, just don't pay attention to them, and they'll go away. It has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers.
Nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers there. Nothing to do with Lamar Jackson. I think Ian's cat was in the chat room talking about Lamar Jackson. What are we feeling like now? Because we've talked about Lamar last week. And so, well, we talked about Lamar twice last week. Yeah. So let's talk about Lamar again. And I figure this might be our new Aaron Rodgers. Like, we have a decision yet? We got anything yet? Anybody do anything yet? I don't know yet.
I think we're not going to see anything. I just feel like collusion is such a heavy word to throw around. It's so difficult to prove collusion, right? Don't email and text your plans of things that may or may not be illegal. However, Cease, I think that if you just take away all the specifics and you say a quarterback with Lamar Jackson's record, with Lamar Jackson's statistics, at the point in Lamar Jackson's career arc that he is at, teams would be desperate. We saw, again, last year, Deshaun Watson with lawsuits hanging over him, and teams were trying to step over each other to get Deshaun Watson. Arguably, Cease, I don't think that Deshaun Watson has proven in the NFL what Lamar Jackson has proven at this point. His ability to elevate an offense, his ability to carry an offense, honestly. So something doesn't add up. And while it might be good for Baltimore in the short term, I do hope maybe it's just going to be a conventional trade, Cease. Maybe after the tag period expires and then he's just available for a conventional trade. Maybe that's when we see him moved. I just hope that he's moved somewhere where he's appreciated, where he feels comfortable. And I hope a team, just like in the draft, Cease, with Ozzie Newsome, his last greatest hit, I hope a team that's willing to commit to Lamar Jackson is rewarded for that.
I hope so as well. And it seems like they're just doing this to prove a point. And also, Lamar being his own agent doesn't help.
No,
it doesn't help the situation at all. It's like pay the 3% so that you have someone that teams can talk to when they can't talk to you. Yeah, that's the problem, and one of the multiple problems in this. And I think the relationship's broken. He can't stay.
Yeah. Right.
So he's got to go. So figure out the best way that gets the Ravens whatever they need to get, and then gets Lamar to a place that'll truly appreciate him.
Yeah. See, so I'll say this just to cap this conversation, okay? What frustrates me is that Lamar Jackson, we can get into ranking quarterbacks. I don't even care about that. Lamar Jackson is a joy to watch. You love the NFL because of players like Lamar Jackson, okay? And all of this talk, should he have an agent? Should he have an agent? What are the Ravens? Did the Ravens make him an offer that was a fair offer? Should he have taken the offer? Let's focus on the player and the shooting star, the comet that Lamar Jackson is. I don't like that this is being overshadowed. And whether you want to rank him by QBR wins or Super Bowls or whatever, Lamar Jackson is always must-see TV in the NFL. And I don't want that to get overshadowed by money, because we're getting into all of the weeds about how much money should the NFL have guaranteed contracts. There's a conversation about all of those things. But when we talk about Lamar Jackson, we should mainly be talking about what a brilliant player he is.
Well, and let's always remember the dirty little secret. It's fit. We haven't seen the best of Lamar Jackson.
No,
not even. Think about that. Think about that. Find the right place. Imagine, and this won't happen, but imagine Lamar with Kyle Shanahan.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, nice MVP.
Imagine Lamar MVP. In Detroit with that offense and what they've been able to do with Jared Goff. Go for it. Come on, Detroit, Holmes. This is your moment.
Yeah, it is your moment. Take your moment and run with it. All right. Anything else tonight, Bloom? Or we were wrapping today's
I'm
show
sure
up.
there's. I mean, there's a lot. Look, again, folks, we got all kinds of great reaction videos coming out on our YouTube channel. Lots of great reaction articles going up right now. I'm going to be doing my comprehensive. Again, I'm just waiting for Jacksonville to do something. I have one item for every team except Green Bay. Let's give it time, and Jacksonville. So that there has been a lot of action, and there's been moves of consequence, not so much for fantasy football, but for the NFL, and that eventually trickles back down to fantasy football. And Cease, I guess if we have clarity on anything, again, you can see Atlanta, even though it seems like they're settling at quarterback, they aren't settling to be a bottom third franchise with the moves they make. Chicago, like you said, they have plans. Miami, I think, is a team we have to talk about. The Jalen Ramsey trade, right? We haven't mentioned that yet. Vic Fangio and Jalen Ramsey, think that's going to be okay?
Every day.
Every day. So I think you're going to see them use Jalen Ramsey well. Byron Jones retiring. And again, I want to mention this because we get this. I'll end on this note, Cease. While players are getting paid, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Some of these players, Jakobi Meyers had to make it as an undrafted free agent, right? So while we're saying 3 years, 33 million is a lot, and who knows what the real numbers are, I mean, he got paid. Maybe not truly generational wealth, but security. So let's put that at the top of the list for players getting security in a league with a CBA that creates a lot of obstacles getting that security, no matter how well you play on your rookie contract, right?
Right.
So I think that is something that we focus on, but let's also remember Byron Jones. And Byron Jones indeed got paid. Okay. He got his generational wealth contract. But according to Byron Jones, and he quickly taken down social media post, he said he can't run or jump anymore because of the shots that he got for his injuries. And he specifically warned the rookies, hey, be careful. Be careful what you let them put in your body. Because it's about more than football. And I think it's just a reminder, Damar Hamlin comes to mind, of what these players are putting on the line, what we don't see, what we don't hear about. There's a lot more Byron Joneses out there. So
what
Jalen
the teams
Ramsey,
will shoot into players just to get them out there. Like it's just ask any player about Toradol, right?
Yeah. So, we can talk about Keith Van Horn. Look that up, folks. I know Bears fans know his name. And the DEA and the NFL. And while we owe our jobs to the NFL, for us to talk about and play fantasy football and do all that stuff, we wouldn't even get to do this without the NFL. So I want to stop at the altar of the NFL and make my offering to them. But at the same time, it's players' bodies, lives, mental and physical well-being that are the logs being thrown on the fire that we warm ourselves by.
Yeah, CT's just the part of what players have to deal with, and that's enough of a part. So you mentioned the NFL and having all that. I'm like, well, then the union's terrible. We really believe in player safety. Like, no, what they and players will play, and it's not even a secret. So it's not like I'm speaking out of school or whatever. Like, players will do whatever to get on the field. They'll shoot anything into their body. Teams would, and that's why they do it, because there's someone else that would do it.
Exactly.
So what? You're not going to tough it out. You're not about the team. You're not going to play for us. Like, oh, gigantic corporations do this to their employees. I'm not shocked.
No, but let's remember the human beings involved that make this all go. And again, celebrate a lot of human beings getting a lot of financial security for themselves and their families and their people that they've been working hard for almost their whole lives.
All right. There you go.
Tomorrow, Jason Wood on the couch.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Woodrow. All right.
We're not going to talk about Silicon Valley Bank. Well, maybe we will.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Off the rails.
Yeah. Talk to Woodrow about that. All sorts of good stuff with Woodrow. We're looking forward to that. Looking forward to more action. And again, if there's any sort of big breaking news, we'll do a show. If not, we'll see you next Tuesday as we do our news and notes show. got On the Couch back, got the Dynasty Show, Launchpad with Dave Kluge. We got it going on, Pretend GM with Alfredo. So, yes, we've got it covered for you right here on our Football Guys YouTube channel. So do all those YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. He is Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I am at Cecil Lammey saying thanks, everybody. We appreciate you all. Until next time, be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned. And as always, please stay frosty.